guys, welcome back to another part of the cosplaying tutorial video. This time we're going to be working on Anna's sniper rifle from Overwatch, and currently you see here the template that I initially created for me to be working on, and what you're going to be seeing here is the template that I'll be using throughout this entire build. The template I have available for you guys has been redone. It's fixed some corrections, as well as it's more accurate to what I actually used, even though you see there's potentially a lot more detail on that base template. A lot of that detail didn't exactly match up with what was based on the game model. So just be aware when you guys are using your reference images. So here you see we're going to be building the back section / trigger area of the gun. That top of the butt of the gun area is getting 4, and then for the trigger and that weird funky shape, it's just going to be a copy of 3. Make sure you flip one of those pieces for the three different pieces that we have currently. I know I made 3 copies of 2 of them and 4 copies of 1. Make sure you flip at least one of them. That way it covers the texture side. And here you just currently see, after cutting them all out, we have 3 of that trigger handle section, 4 of that top butt of the gun, and then 3 for this weird shape. And then they're all getting glued together with hot glue. And you could use contact cement, but this is completely up to what's available to you. Now, materials you will need for this build is 10cm craft foam, or the floor mats, which are the white pieces that I'm currently using, as well as 1 or 2mm craft foam, whatever is available for you. Currently, my craft foam, I stick to one color. That way, you guys are able to distinguish it, and it is black and 1mm. You will also need PVC tubing and CPVC tubing, as well as your whatever you plan on using to cut your foam, whether it's scissors, X-Acto blades. Make sure you have something to sharpen those, because they're going to get continuously dull. As well, we just cut out one of the funky shapes, once again out in black. We just did it twice because it's going to be going on each side, because that section is a little bit thicker, but not quite 4 pieces of floor mat foam thickness. As well as we're adding in our piece that's in black, and I'm just once again using hot glue to keep it all glued together. As well as there's a variety of paints. All these pieces, materials will be listed. I'm just going over this while we are. All of them will be listed within the description for you. Now we're moving on to the next section. Currently this is going to be 4 pieces as well. And the template that you guys have available that I've offered to you for free, slightly different. It seems like there's a little bit more of a notch in that section that's cut out, but it wasn't necessary, so that's been altered for you guys. The templates that I have available on the Google Drive will work perfectly fine, and you can obviously follow along, given that there is no too similar piece that needs to be labeled. By what I mean by that is too similar of a shape of a template that you may need, oh, I'm not sure if it's this one or that one, but every template piece is roughly, there's no too similar pieces, so there's no way you could get this messed up. Now for this section, this is the section where the main barrel of the gun will be resting on top. It is 3 thicknesses of foam wide here. However, I only cut out 2 of the templates. Obviously one of them is flipped, and I'm just using, you can use the side pieces, the side strip that goes covering the puzzle piece, and just cut off those notches. That way you have that 3-piece thickness of foam, but I left it like a shallow area because that's where the curvature of the barrel is going to be resting. Now we're moving on to more of the pieces on top of the trigger area, not trigger, my apologies, the handle grip of the gun. I cut them out. Make sure you're continuously using a knife or a sharpener, or changing out your blades frequently throughout this build. That's 3 pieces thick. And then here we're building another weird shape that would go where the ammo canister is for Anna's healing. So just follow along, make sure you cut it out. I had the separate piece of black trim, black 1mm piece, separate for you guys, so that way it's easy for you. And then obviously that base shape that that's going to be made up of 3 pieces, and then obviously you want to flip it once again for one of them to be flipped, so you have it hidden. For the canister, I am just using a container of Mod Podge. If you have a Mod Podge, but it's currently full of Mod Podge container that's currently full of Mod Podge, you can put it in a mason jar, and then obviously I'm just wrapping it in 1mm craft foam, and then having that seam be hidden on the top section because it's could be completely covered. While I was off camera, I bought some PVC and some CPVC tubing. Both of them were 10 feet in length and about ½ inch in diameter. It may seem like the PVC is bigger than the CPVC, even though they're the same diameter that they were sold at, but that's what they were listed at. And then for the main barrel length, I cut that to 82 centimeters in length. Divide by 2.54 if you want to get it in inches. For the lower barrel, I cut it about 30 centimeters in length. There's a little bit of excess because some of it's going to be inset into the foam, so that way it's secured. And then same with this, it's going to only be running to about here because it's going to be covered about this area, like that part's going to be covered. And then I took some of the CPVC tubing, cut it in half with a scroll saw. You can use a bandsaw or a normal saw if you have it. Please be careful and use it to the proper safety depending on the tools that you're using. And I cut it in half, and then I there's tubing on each side of the barrel, so I cut one of them to obviously to 23 centimeters in length, and then the lower one in 6 centimeters. And then obviously there's another set for the other side, and we're just going to be building up the thicknesses or pieces that are bulked up along these tubings with some 1mm craft foam. Now that we have those pieces cut out, for the bottom smaller 6 centimeter piece, I'm using a 3 centimeter strip of 1mm craft foam to cover it, followed by a 1 centimeter strip that's being put on the opposite end, so that way there's a gap, and I'm just wrapping it around the craft foam and then just doing the same for the other 1 centimeter piece. As well, for the top side barrel, I'm just using various thicknesses and various lengths in the 1mm craft foam to bulk it up. At the very tip of it, there would be about a 1 centimeter strip, followed by a 1 centimeter gap, then a 2 centimeter strip, then about a 5 centimeter gap, followed by a 2 centimeter strip, and a 3mm gap, and then followed by covering the end of the barrel of the gun. And then I'm just doing this for both sides, which you guys currently see, and then you can pause the video at that point to just double check the lengths. I accidentally here, that's the one side I didn't mess up on, but on the other side of the gun, which you're currently seeing, I accidentally put the top barrel in the wrong direction. I make sure you guys do not do that. It's supposed to be symmetrical on each side. I tried getting it off, but if I was to do it, it would ruin the foam underneath. Either it's just like melting from a heat gun. It just wouldn't be pretty. Now for this section of the piece here, you see I am cutting it in half because we do not want that textured section, and it's just getting glued above the handle section. Here you see I'm just slowly working away, cutting out the end of the barrel. You can use a Dremel, and that's going to be for the lower barrel section. Here we're doing with the foam that is covering the main shaft of the gun. I just cutting it away. You're going to have a template where you just need to copy it and then flip it over and make sure it lines up with the other template. And then I cut out a small section of foam at the very top where the fold line is to have a better curvature. There you see the main barrel which is 82 centimeters in length, and it's just glued down, held by hot glue, and it's resting on top of that section where we had 3 pieces in thickness, but only 2 of the template done. Now, for the lower section of the barrel gun, I used just a piece of foam to cover the end of the barrel, and then I wrapped it also with foam. I know it looks very crude at this moment, but we're going to be using the Dremel to just sand away and sculpt it so it's more like a semicircle shape, as well as angling in on the foam wrapped area with the 10 centimeter the foam that's wrapping the barrel with 10 centimeter foam. 10 millimeter foam. We're just going to be dremeling the edges and then obviously adding those scored and lines on angle throughout that. Anyways, this has been part 1. Part 2 will be up shortly, and I'll be finishing the rest of the build and going over some of the weathering and painting. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Kyle, and I hope you guys have a good day.